It is the final countdown, September 14, with a question mark. We'll get to that in a second. It's time now for In the House with Deputy Prime Minister Anthony Albanese and Shadow Education Minister Christopher Pyne. He's got a fancy title since he...
I know, he's really come up in the world.
It's been a big 3 weeks.
Yes. Since he's been doing this show.
Exactly.
That's what happened.
We like to claim credit
We
for
like
that.
to that was the key.
It was. Hey, let's start with boat arrivals. Any developments overnight at all? Any more boats coming?
The development overnight, which is pretty important, is Indonesia making an announcement that they would remove the exemption that's been there for people from Islamic countries who've automatically got visas from Iran. That won't happen. They're moving on that, and they've made that announcement overnight, which is pretty good news.
What sort of difference do you think it will make?
Well, what it will do is stop the transit traffic to go from, say, Iran, Middle East, Indonesia, get your visa on arrival, and then have already pre-organised a people smuggler to put you on a boat. That will be far more difficult if there's not an automatic transit through Indonesia. It's an example of good cooperation, and I congratulate and thank the Indonesian government for doing what they've done.
There's also a story on the front page of the Daily Telegraph today saying that you've cut a deal with other countries. Is that true?
No, well, what we're doing, and we've said this, Karl, is that there needs to be a regional solution to this. So we are in discussions, and
you haven't cut a deal yet. You're just in discussions.
No, announcements will be made when they're made, Karl. So I'm not in a position to make further detail here, but suffice to say, we know that part of the solution is a regional solution, and we have, of course, made an arrangement with when the Prime Minister went to Jakarta to see President Yudhoyono. They announced the regional summit, so those steps are in place.
Christopher Pyne, you must be pleased to hear that there's movement happening.
Well, I think the decision the Indonesians have made about the Iranian visa holders is a good one. It'd be good if Malaysia made the same decision, because that would then end that capacity to come through either Malaysia or Indonesia, so that's the next step. But we do welcome Indonesia's move. In terms of the stories in the Daily Telegraph this morning, I had 2 thoughts about them. One, it sounds like Australia is a regional processing hub, and I'm not sure that's going to stop the boats if we are the regional processing hub. And it sounded like more summits, more meetings for Kevin Rudd to fly to around the world to see world leaders to talk about stopping the boats. The only way to stop the boats, of course, is to take away the sugar off the table, which is permanent residency. If you make people who come by boat unable to get permanent residency, which is what John Howard did, it takes the sugar off the table. Offshore processing, and of course turning back the boats where it's safe to do so. And we're now seeing a lot of naval officers and people from the military saying that that's perfectly capable of being done, and that is the most important thing you can do to stop people smugglers having a business plan.
We're also seeing a lot of naval officers who are really suffering through this process as well.
Well, they're thoroughly sick of it. I mean, the Navy doesn't want to be a taxi service for people smugglers. It wants to defend Australia.
Is it actually legal to turn the boats around? Have you?
Of course it is.
In terms of international piracy, if you look at the strict definition of piracy, is it actually legal for you? I mean, have you checked that?
Well, if there are fishing boats or people smugglers on international waters, then there's no reason why Australia can't say, here's enough fuel for you to get back to Indonesia where you came from. You're not coming to Australia. That's perfectly within our rights to do that.